Hi, it's Michael. The mind asks, where is God? The mind thinks in terms of me here, you there, heavens somewhere, hell somewhere else. And this is, of course, a limitation of the mind and overall a nonsense. So the Upanishads and enlightened people tell us that God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, is the essence of everything and everyone in existence, that God is everywhere, that God is everything. God is everything. There cannot be a place where God is not, as will be kind of shown a little bit later. So now immediately the mind snaps to the question, okay, so how about violent people, extremely violent and destructive people or events? God is that too? Within the game of existence, which is projected from God in a way, pretty much everything is allowed to exist. Now, just because it exists, it doesn't mean that it represents God's qualities, God's essence. So you as a person can choose to do something violent, or another person chooses to do something violent, and it is allowed to happen. It's a tool for spiritual evolution. As Dr. David Hawkins said, if people or other energies, entities couldn't choose evil, then how could there be spiritual evolution? How could things spiritually evolve? So God is love, peace, joy, bliss, beauty. Now things like violent crimes and disasters, as mentioned, they are allowed to exist, but they are not representative of God's qualities. It can be perhaps symbolically thought about like this, or viewed like this. In focus, out of focus. When something is in focus or in phase with God, then it channels God's qualities, love, joy, bliss, kindness, forgiveness, good humor, and all that wonderful, beautiful stuff. When something is out of phase or out of focus, which is allowed within existence, then it channels negative stuff, destructive stuff, and as we can see from the history of mankind, there has been plenty of that. So it's allowed to exist, but it doesn't mean that that is God. Ascribing anger, hate, jealousy, and stuff like that to God, or punishment to God, is, as Dr. David Hawkins explains, it's a projection of the human mind. So another way of looking at this God existence stuff is like this. The Upanishads tell us that before existence was manifested, there was this condition, this presence, and that is what is termed the self. And the Upanishads continue telling us that the self then meditated on how to manifest the existence. And then, out of itself, so to speak, it projected the entire existence. So, if you contemplate this, then there is nothing that can be outside of the self, and within existence, the self is the God. So there is nothing that can be outside of the self. So it's all of it is within the self, within God, even though even to say within is probably not very accurate. But imagine this. Just empty your mind and imagine a galaxy. Imagine a galaxy or some stars or a constellation. Now ask yourself, where is this galaxy that I just imagined in relations to me? Where is it in relations to me, and where am I in relations to it? So as you can see from this exercise, try it and see what answers come up. It's almost not answerable. It's within you, but it's kind of not within you. So it is the same with God. So one of the dangers of the spiritual evolution, as it is explained by Dr. David Hawkins and other enlightened people, is creating a duality of me here, God there, which is of course an error, and it can get you stuck. So the God is not separate from you. God is you. You are not God, but God is you. Kind of plays of words, but this is important to understand that you are not separate from God, that God is your very essence, and it could be said that it is within you, inseparable from you, that it is you. And as Dr. David Hawkins says, when you get enlightened, then you realize that you are it. But of course that you is not a personal you, a mind, okay, but it's more like a quality or a presence. So this is trying to bring more into light abstract thing with verbal speaking, which is kind of hard. But as mentioned, the exercise of imagining something and then asking yourself, so where is it in relations to me, is probably very close in principle as to the self projecting the existence and then unfolding, evolving the existence in principle, symbolically speaking. Okay, so that's about it for this talk, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below the video. That's it. Michael out.